Distinguished guests, men and women of the finest military in the world. Most of all, Admiral Mullen, Deborah. Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today. Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today.
U.S. women's soccer team star Megan Rapinoe has doubled down on comments she would not be going to the White House if the team won the World Cup. She spoke at a news conference a short time ago.
I stand by the comments that I made about not wanting to go to the White House.
Soccer star Megan Rapinoe pulled a Kaepernick Sunday, kneeling during the national anthem in an echoing nod to the San Francisco quarterback's controversial protest. Rapinoe took a knee as the Star Spangled Banner played before her Seattle Reigns game against the Chicago.
Now for part 2 of our series, in which we look back at the talented youngsters to have been profiled on Transworld Sport long before they became sporting superstars. This week it's tennis aces Venus and Serena Williams.
Konnichiwa. Bonjour. Hola. Hola.
Hola, yeah, hola.
It was November 1992 when Transworld Sport travelled to the United States to film with 12-year-old Venus Ebony Star Williams and her 11-year-old sister Serena Jamaica. We spent the day with them at the Rick Macy Tennis Academy in Florida.
Here's a question I'm sure you've been asked more than once.
Yes.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Tennis player. I would like to be a tennis player.
Is there something else you want to do? What would it be?
A veterinarian. I think I'd be an archaeologist.
Really?
Yes.
What interests you about archaeology?
Mostly dinosaur bones, and then after that, Indian civilization.
Pretty unusual career. If you were a tennis player, who would you want to be like?
Well, I like other people to be like me.
That's a good answer.
Born in Compton, California, one of Los Angeles' poorest suburbs, we learned that it was their father, Richard, who started them playing tennis before they were 5. He saw sport as their ticket out of the ghetto.
I had watched the tennis match on TV, and I really didn't see the match. When the match was over with, and they was giving this young lady $40,000 because she won the tournament. And I figured since I worked for $52,000 all year, and this girl make $40,000 in 4 days, I knew I was in the wrong business.
Venus and Serena were the only daughters born to Richard and his wife Oracene, who married in 1980. Oracene had 3 daughters from a previous relationship. To further develop their talent, Richard moved the family to Florida so that Venus and Serena could enroll at this tennis academy. They'd been here in the Sunshine State for a year by the time we met up with them. Back then, many in the American tennis world were already aware of the potential of the Williams sisters. Venus had played 63 junior tournaments and won them all, and Serena had won 50 of her 52 competitions. What set them apart was their outstanding athleticism and power.
What do you think is the best bit of your game?
The best part of my game? I think it would be my return serves or my backhand. Yes.
Is that something you're working on at the moment?
Yes, I was.
What about you, Serena?
My backhand down line is my best shot. It's my favorite. Yeah.
However, when the family moved to Florida, Richard withdrew his daughters completely from the junior tennis circuit. He wanted to protect his daughters from the intense competition and allow them to concentrate on their studies. He believed that some girls were entering the competitive tennis arena far too early.
These girls, they're not developed physically nor mentally. They're not ready to play, and it haven't worked yet. And the third reason they shouldn't come out that early is too hard on the families. It tears the family to pieces. And we are a great family. And without bringing the girls out late or later, it'll be better all around for the family, for the girls, for tennis. So in our case, we'll come out later.
So at this stage in their development, tennis was limited to just practice sessions that were overseen by their father, who had this to say about 12-year-old Venus.
Every champion that lives has 4 main qualities, and she has all those qualities. And you can't teach them, you have to be born with them. You have to be rough, you have to be tough, you have to be strong. And mentally, you just have to be unbelievable sound. She has every quality to be a champion, and she will be. And that's what makes Venus Venus. And Serena, it's something like a pet bulldog. She does, once she get a hold to you, she won't let go. Serena plays angles better than any woman or any man I ever seen play tennis. And she's so strong. And she hits the ball so well with a ground stroke, and her hands are just unreal. Serena will probably be a better player than Venus. That's not to compare my girls, but she will be.
This glowing view of the sisters was reinforced by the Academy's owner, Rick Macy, who had previously been the coach of a young Jennifer Capriati.
There's no doubt in my mind, you know, I've worked with enough good kids and pros. Both kids definitely can go as far as they want. I think the day will come that both kids might play each other in the finals of a Grand Slam. I think both of them have the capabilities to be top 5 in the world. Richard's very fortunate. It's lucky you get one in the family, but he has 2, and both the girls have that ability.
Venus want to win Wimbledon. Serena want to win the U.S. Open. And when I think about that, there are times, you know, I wonder what would I do. And I know what I would do now. I would go back to the ghettos of Compton and get some of those gang members who used to protect my daughters from other gang members. And I would go get the members of the Crips and bring them to the U.S. Open and Wimbledon. And they would sit in box seats. And they would sit there and watch my daughter. And it would give so many other kids the opportunity to see that they can do it. You know, and they would remember Venus and Serena. They would say, boy, they did it, I can do it. That's that little girl, she live on Marvel Street, that little poor girl. And what they actually said, that little poor girl daddy drove that old Volkswagen, you know, that broke down. So yes, I think sometime about them winning the big ones like the U.S. Open and Wimbledon, and we will win them one day.
distinguished guests, and men and women of the finest military in the world. Most of all, Admiral Mullen, Deborah. Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today. Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today.
I'm Megan Rapinoe, and this is my story. I mean, the last couple years have been interesting and fun and challenging. It was crazy. I feel like I went through this 1 year period. Not even 1 year. It was like right after I did my knee, right then until, I don't know, October of the next year. Wasn't really playing that well. I knelt, in support with Colin Kaepernick, and then I met Sue, and it was just like, a convergence of all these things that I'm actually so thankful for, because I think it forced me to realize that like I had to change. I think just as a person, you kind of go through those different seasons in life, but I think as an athlete, and as an athlete who's getting a little bit older, you reach this time where you either get old really fast or you change, and then you have like your second career. So I feel like it all happened right at that moment, and this is like my second career.
U.S. women's soccer team star Megan Rapinoe has doubled down on comments she would not be going to the White House if the team won the World Cup. She spoke at a news conference a short time ago.
I stand by the comments that I made about not wanting to go to the White House with the
distinguished guests, men and women of the finest military in the world. Most of all, Admiral Mullen, Deborah. Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today. Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today.